Welcome back to Survivor with the Roar. My name is Caesar, your host.
And I'm Andrea, your co-host.
So I hope everybody's good. Um, we've been doing lives. Hopefully, you guys been watching. Don't forget about July 26th of our carne asada. Um, you can buy your shirts on the link in bio. What else, Andrea?
Um, Feel free to engage us when we post our Q&A or little questions on Insta.
Yeah, if you have any question, it could be well, maybe not too personal, but it could be a question, and if we have an answer, we'll answer it on the way we know it, not like
Yeah,
professional wise.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, let's get started. Andrea, do you remember like any treatments or what was your experience going through at the hospital? Like, do you remember your treatments? Do you remember any like what was your like
I
experience?
don't remember too many of the treatments because it's been a while now, but I do remember what it was to go from like a pick to a porta cat. Because the pick was like a temporary thing, and it made it harder to shower, harder to move about, because it was like a little bit of dangling cables coming out of. At least for me, it was my arm. I think it was my left arm.
Yeah, I remember
Um,
those. Hey, yeah, for real. Mine were on the left hand too. Like you had to wrap it so you could take a shower, or you had to take like a cloth shower and stuff like that. I'm like,
yeah,
it's weird.
yeah,
Like the one
it
that
was wild.
Porta Cat also for me. Um, now that we're talking about Porta Cats and another thing, um, I had a nurse come to my house to change my dressing, and I told her like, dude, like you're doing it wrong. You're gonna like mess it up. She's like, no, who's the professional here? Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, you go for it. Like, if you say you know your stuff, then go for it. But I'm not gonna ask for you again. Like, I'm changing nurses as soon as you leave. Yeah, she left, and then later that afternoon, I checked my thing. That thing was all bleeding, man. Like, it had blood everywhere. I'm like, but that was your mother. Like, she fucked it up. She's like, what if
Um,
we probably gonna have to put a new one and blah blah blah. So I called the hospital and they're like, oh no, just come in. We'll redo it, and if we have, we'll check if we have to like put in a new line or if it's messed up or anything. So I went and they cleaned it and everything, and it was all good. And I even told him like that nurse that went there, I don't want her again. Like I told her she was doing it wrong. She's like, no, I'm doing it right. And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, nope, I don't want that home nurse going there no more. And yeah, that was the last time she came. The first and last time she came. After that, they
um,
got another nurse, and she did it right.
yeah,
I don't know if you
no,
had
those,
I don't know if you had experiences like that, like where
yeah, I did have like horrible nurses, and I'm gonna be honest, as I wish I had had the ability to be like, no, I want another nurse, or been more better at advocating for myself. And definitely being a more strong character, like not be docile or timid. I wish I had been more like that because that's how a nurse OD'd me. Like I told him, you're not doing it right. Um, Usually they don't give me in that syringe. I think you're giving me a lot more than what I need. And he pushed like twice the amount of Benadryl in like a really quick time. Cause, usually they put it with the IV fluid and they let it, drip
yeah.
and take its course. And this guy went straight to the porta cat, so it was like instantaneous. And it was a lot more. And I remember I had to ask him like, "Hey, humor me. Just let me use the oxygen mask because I'm not feeling good." And he's like, "Nope, the vitals here show you're good." And I was like, "Well, I'm not feeling good." And like that's always my issue with doctors. Even now with like the whole hearing, I'm like, "Oh, well, it shows here that you're good." I'm like, "Well, I'm not hearing well." And
Yeah,
it's kind of like you're gaslighting me, right? But I have to try to be more like
more farm,
I
like
don't know, yeah, like firm or not aggressive, but like just more able to for them to take me serious. And I remember
be
he just
aggressive
he's
but
like
not too aggressive.
yeah, and so he like during treatment he finally gives me the the oxygen mask, and then all of a sudden the machine's showing that everything's wrong and that I'm almost dying. And doctor comes in, like all these doctors and nurses rush into the little room, and I hear a doctor say, "Good thing you put the oxygen mask on her, otherwise we would have lost her." And I looked at him like, "See, I told you," but I didn't have like, I didn't verbally say like I
You
wish I
weren't that
had.
you were conscious, but not that conscious where you could talk.
Yeah, and then I remember another time this nurse was just poking me, and it was hurting, and I'm like, man, she's gonna leave me bruised. Like we're at, well, at least I was at a point where I'm easily to bruise. Like it's hard to, for blood to clot and stuff. So, but I didn't say anything. I remember I just told her, "Oh, you're hurting me," and that was it. And then the next time she was a bit nicer, but it wasn't like, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna tell another nurse." It's more like, "Well, I'm gonna just leave it like that." And then I also like remember that sometimes if I saw a nurse that I knew was like nice, I kind of like ask for them, or if I see them around, I'd be more willing to ask them for like what I would need.
Yeah,
And then eventually, like I knew, like okay, if I'm in the pediatric section, most of the nurses already know me and they're very caring and they're more, I don't know how to say it, like receptive to what I have to say. Like, they're not gonna ask me like, "Oh, are you sure about that?" They're like, "Okay, we'll take your word for it. A bit. Let's see what's going on."
yeah.
When I would be in the emergency room, it felt like I had to push a little bit harder or just constantly be repeating myself so that they could take me a little serious. But yeah, that was like I think one of the parts that I wish wasn't a part of it, but I guess that's treatment for you. Like as much as it is taking the medications and you doing your part, it's also dealing with different health experts and people with different experiences and different, I guess, hospitality. Um, and another thing I think I just remember is how, for example, my nurses with the primary hemoncology, they were very nice. Like they'd always like be attuned to me. Like when the OD happened, I remember my nurses picked up and they're like, "Why are you scared now for everything?" And then I told them, and they were like, "Oh, that shouldn't have happened in the first place. I'm surprised that knowing your current health, um, they didn't really take into consideration a lot of stuff. Like they shouldn't be treating our patients like that or kids like that." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And I remember one of my nurses, she would have to distract me every single time, like for a time period after that.
Hmm.
Cause then she'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing? Well, how you been? Remember, you've already taken this. We're giving you something we've given you before, so your body should be okay. Breathe, take it easy. We're going slow. Don't worry. There's no rush." And just constantly reassuring me. And then, I remember I would tell her, "Oh, like I managed to go on a bike ride." They're like, "Oh, that's good." Cause honestly, bike riding was like the biggest challenge to do back in the day. Like I'd be out of breath. I wouldn't have a lot of strength.
Yeah.
But it
Now
was
that
one
you're
of the
talking
times.
about like you didn't have enough strength or like anything like that, so I started playing soccer again. And to be honest, when I got out of the hospital, like I had to do rehab and everything because when I was done with my surgeries and everything, like I couldn't move. So like after when I started running again, I legit forgot how to stop. I had to like throw myself to like the ground or like just like find somewhere where like it was long so I could like slow down because like I legit forgot to like how to stop when I was running. So like that will get me tired. So I'll be like, oh my god, I can't breathe. Like, oh my god, like it was like I'm pretty sure it was more like a panic attack than me like actually being tired out of breath. It was more like a panic attack. It's like what if I can't stop and like I crash through the fence or this and that. Like that was one of my things. I'm like, damn, like do I really want to continue playing? But like thankfully, like after keep on going and stuff, like I legit learned how to stop when I'm running.
Yeah. No, that's kind of like a a part of some experiences, right? Like now that you mentioned you had to relearn certain things. Same for me. Like I remember um not having enough strength to go up on the bed, to go up some stairs, not having balance to stay standing up for an extended period of time. Um, and then just the ability to walk, I guess. Cause I remember I would always, when I would go with my mom, I'd always kind of like lean on her for support. Cause I tend to sway one way more than the other. And I remember I didn't notice at first until one day I think I tried walking on my own with her. And I was like, oh, I'm always going this way. And then I would tell her, oh, I actually do need to walk with you because I kind of tend, my balance isn't there just yet. And I
Yeah,
think when I first started going to community college, that was one of the things I was like struggling with. It's just the physical endurance and strength and balance to go upstairs and stay sitting for long periods because it would hurt my knees to stay sitting for a long period. Um, and also just being on the bus again because then you know how like they move and stuff, and
yeah,
like how you said, like it's like learning to do something you've used to do quite frequently and didn't really think about it. Now you're like, oh, how do I do this again?
well, for me, like I had like my chemotherapy, and then like you know how they do that weekly like checkup.
Hmm.
Like in that same week, I got checked, and they're like, "Oh, like it's coming back. You have to come in, and we're gonna start doing something else." So I got a bone marrow transplant, and then luckily for me, like I got my own bone marrow. Like it was good enough where I could get my own, and like I was good because there's people that like they can't use their own bone marrow. Like they have to find a donor, and like it takes longer and all this stuff. So like you could say I got lucky that I could use my own bone marrow, and like I was able to like do it. But like I did with that chemo they gave me with a bone marrow transplant. Like I turned dark. Like I burned myself from inside and out. Like you know how when you peel from like your skin from outside,
Yeah.
I was feeling from inside. Like that's how
Um,
bad like that chemo was.
yeah. No, I've heard. I think I just did chemo, at least as far as I can remember. Didn't get a transplant. Um, I do remember, however, uh, because I would be stuck in bed all day, like when I was in the hospital, and I'm really grateful for like the arts and movies and things that kind of keep your mind a little occupied or at least entertained. Given that at least the hospital I went to wasn't like this was a while back, so obviously a lot of tech developed and a lot of hospitals upgraded their facilities, but I remember I think the TV had like a few channels. There wasn't cable, there wasn't Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But they did have like, oh, we from like the weekdays or yeah, I think it was weekdays. I don't remember too much, but I remember I would ask for movies, like to give me a list of the movies they had available, and I would watch movies or I'd uh get books. I remember a nurse actually let me borrow one of her personal copies of a book. And I remember reading it, and she's like, "Did you finish it in one day?" I'm like, "Yeah, because I really liked it." And she's like, "You understood it?" And I'm like, "Well, to this much extent, I did understand it, and I liked it." Um, and she goes, "Oh, you're a reader," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, I do like to read. Like, if I'm feeling up for it, I'll read." Because I remember I had like a vision weakness or something, where if I stared at something too long, it hurt my eyes. And also because at the very beginning of it all, I think my left eye, I don't know which eye, but one of them uh had the vein popped because that's
Huh.
how bad I was when I first went into the emergency room. Uh, and I remember just trying to do stuff. I would try to draw. I would try to write. I actually had a nurse tell me like, "Oh, why don't you start journaling?" And I think they gave me a
Hmm.
notebook, and they're like, "Here, journal." And and I remember she's like, "Journal because you never know, you could turn this into a book or something, or you could like look back at it and just see." But I didn't really write how people write, like, "Oh, the day's this," and it's like, no, I was more kind of instructions like, "Oh, today I was given this medication," and
It was more like bullet points. I take this,
uh
and I did
yeah,
that. I did.
um, but I wish I had been a little bit more descriptive. I know at some points when like there was moments I was like, "Oh, am I going to die?" I would write it on my journal because I didn't like. I think that was one of the moments in which I wish I had someone I could have talked to. Um, I wish I had known maybe about therapy then, or a therapist.
Yeah, because I know you still see a therapist, right?
Yeah, like, but at the time when I was doing treatment, I wish I had known about a therapist because at least I would have had someone to como desahogarme con.
Yeah.
Cause I would have to kind of bottle in a lot of like thoughts or emotions because I'm like, oh, it's gonna upset my parent, it's gonna make my mom worry, it's gonna make them be like, no, don't say that, don't think that. But often I'd be like, well, what if I don't make it? What if I don't survive? And then what do I do? Like, what does that mean for me? What does it mean in general? Like, because the biggest thing at the time was I don't want to die. I'm just 18 and I have a bunch of goals I would like to accomplish. I still would like to get a chance at living a good, happy life, and but I was never able to tell my mom like, oh ma, sabes que tengo miedo, or like estoy pensando que qué tal si no sobrevivo, because like we had seen a few of the patients that were taking treatment at around the same time as I was pass away, and so we're like, oh crap, like it's because for me, I think one of them. They looked like they were doing well. I think they were about to reach remission, and then I don't know what happened. And then, like when I go back to an appointment, one of the other moms was like, "Oh yeah, so and so, fortunately, did not make it, and they they died." And then I was like, I remember everyone's reaction was like, well, at least my mom and my reaction was like, "What?" But the last time I saw them, which was like maybe a week or two ago, they were pretty good. They were like, looked like they had nothing anymore. And then they're like, well, yeah, that's the tricky part about it is you can't really guarantee much except for what you're doing day by day. Um, but yeah, I wish I had like known about a therapist then because I think it would have helped me at least deal with certain emotions that I think now that I do have a therapist I like can talk about, but it's like a whole few years later and then understanding like, oh, okay, that's why I felt this or that's why whenever I go to the doctor still I'm still a bit scared obviously because of the overdose experience by a nurse. I don't really trust um healthcare providers because they're always like I mentioned they're always like trying to say like, oh no, you're like you're fine, you're fine, this is fine, but I'm like, no, I'm not feeling good, like this I don't know how to make you understand what I'm experiencing in a way that you could help me or at least be like, okay, that's definitely something concerning and let's see up to what we can do. Cause I get it. Like just cause you're a doctor doesn't mean you could solve everything. There's some things that it's like life just happens and it's unfortunate, but that's one of the realities about life. Sometimes there is a cure, sometimes there isn't, sometimes there's an explanation to why things happen and sometimes it's just like a random event, no real cause, but yeah, and I think also another thing about like I guess having a therapist is um challenging that that belief that I don't have it in me to be able to be more assertive of like, hey, I need this um being more asking without feeling like, oh, I need to be saying it in this way to get the help. It's like it doesn't matter how you ask it. The help should kind of be
You,
provided.
you feel like you need permission or some way like that, no? Or
Yeah, not permission, but it's more like como, oh, if I say it like this, then the doctor's gonna be like, oh, problematic patient. But I shouldn't think of it. It should be like, hey, I'm just trying to get help and help me out. Cause I think it's something like again, just not knowing how to navigate health in general and healthcare systems. So I think with my therapist, it's like that. Like, oh, I think one of the things she talked about was, um, oh crap, I wrote it down on the separate piece of paper, but it was something about how I freeze when um certain like things trigger me,
hmm.
and that doesn't help me. So I have to be able to like regulate how I'm feeling with that to be able to be present and then say, okay, but I need this anyway, or still be able to get the goal of what I'm trying to get across to the doctor. Cause some, like, I remember I told my mom, I asked the nurse, oh, cause they're like, oh, do you need any vaccines? And I'm like, I don't know. Can you check if I need any, like, any of them? Cause I know there's some that like after certain years you need them again. And I think one of them that I need to think is tetanus.
Yeah,
Something about like, if you,
it means like every 3, 5 years or something like that.
I don't remember, but yeah. And then I
That,
asked,
that one's like you gotta do it like every certain years.
yeah, and I asked, and they're like, oh yeah, you need one. And they never gave it to me, but they gave me copies of like what this vaccine does. And I remember I asked the nurse again, like, hey, how come the primary physician didn't give me the vaccines? Like, are you giving it to me or who's giving it to me? Oh, they didn't order it, so you're not getting it. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, and I just left because I'm like, they're just dismissing me already. But I should have just been more como, no, I need you to give me this medicine.
Like,
Like,
I need before I leave.
yeah.
Like for me, now they're talking about shots. Like since I went through the bone marrow transplant, like I legit needed like all the shots all over since like I was a baby. Like you know how they start giving me shots from the baby. Like
Mm-hmm.
I need all those shots all over again because it's like if I started my immune system all over. So like I legit some days we'll get 3 shots on left arm, 3 shots on right arm, 3 shots on left leg, 3 shots on your left leg, right leg. So like I'll be like sore from everywhere because of all the shots I was getting.
Yeah, as well. And then there's like shots you need as you get older.
Yeah,
Cause,
I legit got the shots since like baby till the age I was all over again. Like because I was adding a new immune system.
dang, that's interesting. I had never heard that. I do remember hearing from other friends that they get bone marrow transplants. Like, yeah, it's like you're starting from like, it's like you're starting from scratch, like nothing. Um, and then a few, cause I used to think a bone marrow transplant was like they literally put a bone in you, but it's a the thing they put through your IV, right? Or am I mistaking that?
Well, from what I heard, it is an IV thing. But I heard like if you're getting it from a donor, they put a big ass needle through like their spinal cord to take out the bone marrow. Because I know
Um,
like for me, they will give me like extra like something extra so I can make extra like bone marrow, and they will filter it through the blood. Like they will take it out from the blood. But from
oh,
what I heard, like from like if you get a donor, like they legit put like a big ass needle and like they take away the
yeah.
bone marrow from the actual bone marrow.
Mm,
I think that's why like if you get it from someone else, it's more like delicate, and you can't be out of your room. You can't be in there like any like legit like when you're in that unit, you have to scrub your fingernails. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to wear, like in certain rooms, you have to wear a gown with the mask. And so like with me, it was more easy. It was just wash your hands real good. And like I could even go walk around the unit. But in that unit, they were like extra um,
mm,
like clean. Like they had everything like super clean.
yeah. No, no, now that you mentioned like super clean and stuff, I never, because my immune system was always like not the best when I was in the hospital. I could never take a shower in the showers. Um, because they're like, oh, every patient uses this, and if someone's sick, it's like putting you at risk. So they had like shower caps or like shower in the sink or like the sponge bath or whatever.
Yeah,
And and I remember the first time I got a sponge bath from the nurse, she was like, "Do you feel like you need a shower?" And I legit thought they were gonna tell me like, "Okay, you could go up and take a shower." Right? And I was like, oh, "Okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I would like to take a shower." I'm like, I do feel like I need it, like shower. I don't know. Cause you know how, at least for me, it's like when I'm not feeling well, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll just take a shower and I'll feel refreshed.
yeah,
Um, and then she's like, okay. And I was like, wait, aren't I supposed to be getting up? They're like, no, you can't get up. You're not strong enough to be on your own. And I was like, oh, okay. And I remember she's like, I'm going to shower you. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, oh, okay. It was kind of like having to trust someone else to look out for you.
well,
Like,
now that you're talking about that, like I was always getting a sponge shower or like a cloth shower and stuff like that. But one day, I don't know, like, oh, we're gonna go give you a shower. I'm like, okay. I'm like, and then they put me on the bed, like a special bed, and I do it like
oh,
since I told you, like when I was there at the hospital, I couldn't see, so they're like, okay, we're gonna go give you a shower and blah blah blah. They put me in a special bed. They take me to like another room where they have like I guess the bathtub, and like
mm,
I could hear like 3 or 4 different people. I'm like, what the hell? Like, who's in here? Like, to give me a shower? Like, I'm like, at that point, I was like, you know, like, it is what it is. Like, and like,
yeah,
good, but like, since I couldn't see, like, when they drained the water, it felt like there was a big ass hole, like, sucking in, like, the whole water. So, like,
um,
I was hearing the music, like, that thing, I would make my, like, legs, I would, like, bend my legs. And I'm
mhm,
like, I'll fall in the hole or something. Like when you can't see, like you see things like different. Like when I legit when they told me, oh, like, oh, we're gonna give you a air mattress or something like that. Like when they turned that on, I felt like I was like getting levitated to like a pod or something. Like if they put you like they put you up and they stick you into a pod. That's
no,
my imagination. Like that's what my brain was like giving me. Like, oh,
mm,
you're getting picked up and they're putting you in a pod, and like that's it. Like you're that's how you're gonna treat.
mm,
Like they're gonna treat you inside a pod, and they just take you out when you need like an IV or something.
yeah.
So
No,
you
like you're relying on your other senses to
yeah.
make sense of,
So like that legit tripped me out. Like so certain things that I would do at the hospital, like that would trip me out.
yeah.
And, like one time, I guess I got used to Benadryl, and then they're like, oh, we're gonna give you something stronger. I'm like, okay, like yeah, go for it. And dude, that thing was a trip. I started to get, you see those, you remember those telescopes where you go like this
Hmm.
and then you see like an octagon and shit like that?
Yeah,
So I legit was seeing that, dude. Like I was tripping. Like I told my mom, like to mom, and like I see multiple of you and this and that. She's like, go to sleep. Like, what are you doing? Go to sleep.
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I'm tripping.
I know it's wild to, cause similar to you with like when they would give you medicines and then you'd see stuff, I always had a lot of that. And I remember, one of the things that would always trip me out was like how it felt like I would travel elsewhere, but obviously like I'm still stuck in this hospital bed fighting for my life, but my mind's elsewhere.
Yeah,
And, and I remember, like I don't know how strong those drugs are because obviously they're trying to knock you out so they could do life-saving procedures on you. But your mind's, I guess, trying to make sense of it all to the best of its ability. And I know that I would always feel like I'm gonna forget everything. I'm gonna forget who I am. So I would focus so hard to remember my siblings and I say their name out loud. I try to spell it. And I remember the doctors would always be like, why are you so like, um, kind of desperately hanging on to these names and these people? Like, cause they're my siblings. And if I forget anything, at least I want to remember them because if I could remember them, then I could find a way back to me, like remember at least the things that I need to remember.
Yeah.
And and then sometimes like when I would be coming into consciousness and awareness, I remember I would forget I could speak Spanish and I'd hear my mom, like it was the first voice I hear when I'm coming back into consciousness. I hear my mom, it's like, Mija, estoy aquí. And I'm like, oh, that's right, I speak Spanish. Like, I know Spanish. And then I would respond to her, oh, sí, Maya, la oigo, because I wouldn't be able to see well, like, because the lights and, like, I don't know, the medications they give us or whatever they're giving us,
Yeah, they make
um,
the lights even brighter.
yeah, like, messes your vision a bit. And then I'm like, talking to him, like, oh, sí, estoy bien, gracias, or something, something. And she goes, don't worry, I'm right here. Like, you're in the hospital. And I'm like, yes, I kind of figured that because of the blinding lights.
Yeah.
Um, and then I remember one time, my mom still remembers this to this day, that I told her, ma, ve, tanto que nos decía que no hagamos drogas, que, like, not to do drugs and, be like, be cautious of what you put in your system, like, even if it's medicine.
Yeah.
Like now look, they're giving me a bit of everything, like even the hard medicine to make me hallucinate or whatever. And one of the doctors who understood Spanish heard and he was just chuckling. And the other doctor, was like, what's funny? What she said? She's like, oh, she's saying like to her mom, like, you told us to stay away from drugs and never do that stuff. And now look, they're drugging me. But I don't know. Some of that stuff is like, I wish I had also written a lot more on that because it would be like a, a reminder of like, wow, like, I don't know if it's if it's each person's way of like dealing with whatever they're dealing with. Cause I know another thing that would happen to me was music. I'd always hear music. Um, whenever like the machines made noises or whatever and I wasn't really well, I would start hearing music and I don't know if it was a way to like soothe me and calm me down enough to be able to like not panic or get into a sense of desperation, like, oh my God, something's not right. It would be like, oh, I would tell the nurses, like, I'm not feeling well, blah, blah, blah. But then out of nowhere, I'd be like, oh, I'm hearing music. And then my mom would often tell me that because I guess I'm still talking, but I'm not aware of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She's
You
like,
were
oh,
kind
you
of
would
thrown
hum
off, I
music.
guess.
Uh-huh. Like, it's like, I guess, like blacking out. You know how I told you that the doctors tend to like refer a lot of, like, they make analogies or similarities to, oh, this is like, if you were to drink. And I'm like, well, at the time I had never drank because I was 18. But they're like, this is what like blacking out, I guess, is where you're like still functioning, but you're not aware.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom would tell me like, oh yeah, you would often hum or like try to sing something. And I was like, oh, I know like in my head I would hear music, but I don't know if I actually would say anything.
Yeah.
And then that's when I told you that the nurses were like, you're hilarious. You were singing like you wanted food and stuff. And they're like, that was funny. And I'm like, how was that funny? Like you're like going through something, but I guess for them it was like you were just singing. It was like the weirdest thing to have a patient do, I guess, is just to sing or sing talking.
Hopefully, the next episode we talk about how we found out we had cancer. But as of right now, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. And don't forget to RSVP for our carne asada, July 26th. And anything else you want to say before we leave?
Um, I don't know if there's folks out there who would like to share their experience. Again, we're just talking about our experiences. Disclaimer, like we're not giving medical advice or any of that, but we're just talking about how what we went through and similarities and differences in our respective experiences. But if there's anyone who would like to share, feel free to do so and like commenting or actually reaching out to us and being like, hey, I would like to partake in an episode and share something. Because I think part of it is bringing visibility to a lot of things that maybe isn't. I know when we talked about one time how movies or books depict one way of cancer, it kind of makes everyone think like, oh, this is my first introduction to what cancer might be, and I think this is for everybody, but it's not the same for everybody.
Yeah. So if there's anybody that wants to tell the story, or if they know somebody that wants to tell the story, just DM us, email us, or just comment on the post or something and let us know. See you guys next time. Signing off, Caesar.
Mm, but
Bye.